Everybody's screaming, everyone's crying. So what's the occasion? Well, Congresswoman Omar got voted off the Foreign Affairs Committee.
The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those in favor say no. No. It's the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it and the resolution is agreed to. And without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Does that remind you of anything? McCarthy yanked Omar off Foreign Affairs to pay back Pelosi for yanking his people off committees. He didn't want to do it, doesn't think it's right, but he had to do it. You can't let Democrats boot your boys off committees and turn the other cheek. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body.
Everybody's screaming, everyone's crying, and the squad is acting like someone just cancelled their Netflix subscription. What happened? Congresswoman Ilhan Omar just got voted off the Foreign Affairs Committee, and suddenly Democrats discovered the word consequences. For years, they kicked Republicans off committees like it was a sport. Now the same rule comes back around and it's racism, Islamophobia, the end of democracy, the apocalypse, the whole dramatic playlist. Meanwhile, Republicans simply said, fine, we'll play by your rules. And boom, the meltdown was nuclear. If you're tired of the double standards in Washington, hit like, subscribe, and stay right here. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Number two, frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America,
Service in the Minnesota Department of Revenue to review the tax filings of U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar on several grounds. I am joined by 9 Minnesota state representatives in making these requests, and I think there's 6 here today. These representatives include Glenn Gruenhagen of Glencoe, Eric Lucero of Dayton, Shane Mecklin of Clear Lake, Tim Miller of Prindsburg, Linda Runbeck of Circle Pines, Cal Barr of East Bethel, John Poston of Lakeshore, Dwayne Quam of Byron, and Jeremy Munson of Lake Crystal. We are making this request on 3 direct grounds. First, Representative Omar improperly and deliberately filed for a tax status for which she was not qualified, an illegal action in both federal and state law. The Minnesota Campaign Finance Board found on June 6th of this year that she illegally used campaign funds to pay a law firm to review her tax records. The Campaign Finance Board exposed crystal clear probable cause for a tax fraud or tax evasion investigation when they discovered that Representative Omar filed as married and filing jointly with Mr. Ahmad Hersey in 2014 and 2015. During those years, she was legally married to Mr. Ahmad Elmi. Did the illegal filing produce a lower tax liability for the couple? Did her illegal tax filing bring her tax exemption for which she was not legally qualified? Usually people choose the tax filing status that yields them the lowest tax liability. Also, the board shared that the couple filed jointly during 2 specific years. Ilhan Omar and Ahmad Hersey have been together as a couple for 17 years. Given her record of crimes and violations of so many laws, it may be worth evaluating her claims of status in those other years as well. Second, Representative Omar lived together simultaneously with her first and second husbands at the same addresses in Minnesota and North Dakota in 2009 through 2011. The tax enforcers may need to check if she used an illegal tax filing status and obtained tax deductions, including standard deduction levels for which she was not qualified in those years. Third, we know that Representative Omar took improper kickbacks from 3 Minnesota colleges in 2017 when she oversaw their state budgets in 2017. Under campaign pressure, she returned those kickbacks in 2018. It is worth checking to see if she reported the kickbacks as income in 2017 or deducted the paybacks as expenses in 2018. 5 grounds for an investigation include corruption in public office and tax evasions on grounds of illegal filing status, improper deductions, concealed income from kickbacks, and improper claims for expenses. We are also aware of Representative Omar's pattern of improper conduct. She has been fined by the Campaign Finance Board for diverting campaign funds for an unpermitted political trip to Orlando. She has been directed to pay back her expenses for uncovered political trips to Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Florida, and Washington, D.C. She has been punished for conversion of campaign funds to pay for personal legal and accounting services. She has flouted laws regarding the filing of her personal financial data in a way that distorted the political campaign process. On June 25th, I asked my Congresswoman Angie Craig to launch an investigation into these improprieties. That went nowhere. She said, do it yourself. So on July 23rd, I asked the U.S. House Ethics Committee to investigate Representative Omar. That request is currently being reviewed by the Office of Congressional Ethics. On that same day, I launched OmarTruth.com in an effort to rally Minnesotans and Americans to help bring political pressure to bring about a congressional investigation. After 2 weeks, we have over 44,000 citizens expressing their strong desire to bring about a full investigation, and the list is growing. I will be adding today's request to the facts available on OmarTruth.com. Today, I and 9 other representatives are asking the nonpartisan federal and state tax enforcers to open investigations. We are simply asking them to do their jobs. You guys have anything? Questions, anyone?
Do state lawmakers have sway to influence the IRS or Minnesota Department of Revenue? Have you successfully asked for such things in the past? Is there a precedent?
I think certainly there's precedent, and I think it's incumbent upon us, Mary, lawmakers, the media, and others, when they see very clear, blatant violations of our laws, to find every way we can to appeal to the people who can investigate and prosecute those laws. And that's what we're doing here today.
How would a state lawmaker's request be different, though, than an average citizen? That's what I'm asking. Do you have any special sway or ability to request something?
You know, I don't think so. You know, I guess the fact that we each represent 40,000 people might be helpful, and it might be something that that those individuals take under consideration. But this gives us an ability, I think, to, in an organized, deliberative fashion, say, we have asked the Minnesota Department of Revenue to do their job. We have asked the IRS to do their job. Before we got here today, we don't know if they have been fully informed and appraised of these facts. After today, we can be sure that they have been fully informed and appraised of these facts.
So President Trump has an obvious place in this as the head of the...
I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened. Thank you.
Republicans are waging a blatantly Islamophobic and racist attack on Congresswoman Omar. And I've said it before, I will say it again. The white supremacy happening is unbelievable. This is despicable. This is just a bunch of racist gaslighting.
Could it be the way that she looks?
Time is expired.
Could it be her religious practices? This clearly isn't about what Ilhan Omar said as much as who she is. Being a smart, outspoken black woman of a Muslim faith is apparently the issue.
The GOP is now doing what it is best at, weaponizing hate against a black, beautiful Muslim woman. They turn Congress into a place of fear-mongering hate. It is so painful to watch who you all are, really.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar will not be silenced.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar,
the gentlewoman's time has expired.
That our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong.
The gentlewoman is no longer.
Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa.
Omar is not just a congresswoman. She tells us she is a global citizen, and people around the world celebrate her accomplishments. We don't know what those accomplishments are, but if you listen closely, the world is clapping.
I'm in a town where we have a lot of people who are refugees who have come, some from Somalia, some from Bosnia. I've never heard one of them say that America's a terrible place or be unappreciative of our country. Most of them are thankful. I've met people who've come here from behind the Iron Curtain that got away from communism. They're some of the best Americans we have because they really appreciate how great our country is. And then I hear Representative Omar say, oh, America's a terrible place. I'd love there to be justice, and there's no justice here. It's like, well, she came here and we fed her, we clothed her, she got welfare, she got school, she got health care, and then lo and behold, she has the honor of actually winning a seat in Congress, and she says we're a terrible country. I think that's about as ungrateful as you can get. And so while I'm not saying we forcibly send her anywhere, I'm willing to contribute to buy her a ticket to go visit Somalia. And I think she could look and maybe learn a little bit about the disaster that is Somalia, that has no capitalism, has no God-given rights guaranteed in a constitution, and has about 7 different tribes that have been fighting each other for the last 40 years. And then maybe after she's visited Somalia...
Now that you've seen the clip, let's get something straight immediately. Republicans were absolutely right here. This wasn't racism, Islamophobia, or any of the buzzwords Democrats throw around when they run out of arguments. This was something much simpler and much scarier for them: accountability. For years, Democrats set the precedent. Nancy Pelosi removed Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar from committees and celebrated it. They didn't call it dangerous. They didn't call it undemocratic. They called it leadership. But the moment Kevin McCarthy applies the exact same standard to Ilhan Omar, suddenly the Capitol turns into a soap opera. AOC waving her arms like she's directing airport traffic, Democrats shouting about oppression, the squad acting like the rules of Congress were personally invented 5 minutes ago just to target them. But here's the reality they don't want to admit. The Foreign Affairs Committee deals with America's relationships around the world. It deals with diplomacy, national security, and the image of the United States abroad. When a member of Congress has a long track record of controversial statements about foreign policy and constant ethics questions hanging over them, Republicans are not obligated to just shrug and pretend nothing happened. Committee assignments are privileges, not lifetime participation trophies. And the funniest part of this whole meltdown is the sudden moral outrage. Democrats screaming about fairness today are the exact same people who applauded when conservatives were removed. Back then it was protecting the institution. Today it's racism. Same action, completely different reaction depending on which party gets hit. That's not principle, that's political convenience. Then you've got the broader issue that keeps popping up around Omar, questions about campaign funds, tax filings, ethics complaints. Whether those investigations go anywhere or not, the point remains. If a Republican had that kind of cloud hanging over them, the media would be demanding their resignation before lunchtime. But with a Democrat, suddenly criticism becomes hate speech. And that's why the reaction was so explosive. It wasn't really about the committee seat. It was about power. For once Republicans didn't apologize, didn't fold under media pressure, and didn't pretend the rules only apply to one side. They simply said, if Democrats created the precedent, they can live with it. So the outrage you're seeing isn't about justice. It's about the political class realizing the days of one-sided accountability might finally be over. And judging by the meltdown we just watched, that realization hit them like a truck.